We are inundated with the message to be scared of these bots in the applicant tracking system or the ATS that are scanning our resumes and rejecting us.
These ATS systems are not designed for job seekers, they're designed for HR.
They bring in your application and they sort you all so that they can compare you and try to figure out how you're the same or different.
It weeds out resumes that don't have the necessary skills for the position being applied for.
As a human resources and recruiting leader, I have spent more time than I care to remember in ATSs using them for my job, and there are so many lies about these platforms online that it actually started to make me confused. I started to question reality. I was thinking up was down, left was right, Joey was Chandler, losing my mind. This video is that deep dive to finally get your answers of what the flying duck is going on with applicant tracking systems and how you can make sure your resume is passed through it to human eyes. And spoiler alert, I found the answer and it is worlds different than everything we've been told. If you're new here, welcome to my little cozy corner of the internet. I'm Madeline Mann, a human resources leader and job search strategist who turns job seekers into job shoppers. You may have seen me on Bloomberg, ABC, Wall Street Journal, and more. Be sure to subscribe, because at this point, hundreds of thousands of people have reported this channel to helping them land jobs and promotions. So heck, it's worth a try. So I run a job search coaching business where clients and viewers alike are constantly reporting that one of their biggest challenges is that they keep getting filtered out by these darn ATSs. Yet, when I look at their applications and draw on my own experience in recruiting, it's pretty clear that that's not what's going wrong. Their approach and their application actually need work. My next question was, why do so many people think that the ATS is the problem? And also, am I losing my mind? Am I popping too many Jolly Ranchers? Is the ATS actually a problem? If we look at the information that is out there, we see that we are haunted by the statistic 75% of job applications don't get seen by human eyes, as seen on Top Resume and echoed in many places, implying that most people are getting caught up by the resume scanner. Here's the coffee spit out moment. I have never seen an ATS that scans resumes for keywords or rejects candidates. And the companies I've worked for, they were using super mainstream ATSs like Lever and Greenhouse. So I was genuinely confused. I did a quick Google search on ATSs and I found quite a few articles on what features recruiting professionals should look for when selecting an ATS. None of the articles mentioned anything about resume scanning software. If this is such a common feature that every company uses, why isn't it seen as a standard feature in any of these articles? I took to LinkedIn and found this post by Adam Broda where dozens of recruiters were chiming in on if ATSs actually auto-reject candidates based on keyword scanners, and this is what I found. Most of the recruiters admitted that their systems rejected candidates based on knockout questions. These are multiple choice questions like, are you legally authorized to work in the US? Are you willing to travel 30% of the time? Do you have a minimum of 3 years of experience in a management role? If you say no to any of these questions, you'll either be immediately rejected or filtered into a separate part of the ATS. Yes, I am familiar with knockout questions. I have used knockout questions before, but that's not what Job Seeker Nation is in a tizzy about. They feel it's specifically the content of their resume that is getting them auto-rejected. So then I scrolled down to the bottom of the comments and finally found someone who seems like he has used a resume scanning ATS. And so I reached out to Warren for more details and the name of the ATS, and well, he replied saying that he was referring to knockout questions as well. Another trail gone cold. So I went ahead and posted my own poll on LinkedIn, which asked, does your company's applicant tracking system sort the applications automatically? And 75% of people said that humans do the sorting. And this was in line with what I have experienced. The vast majority of applicant tracking systems require recruiters and hiring managers to slosh through thousands of applicants. Now, on LinkedIn, you can see who votes what answer on your polls. So I went ahead and messaged every single person who said, yes, our ATS sorts automatically. And here's what I found out. 60% did not respond to me. Cool. But of the 40% who did, 30% of that group that responded said, sorry, I actually have no idea what ATS my company uses, my bad, I just clicked a button. And then another 30% said that they used knockout questions, not resume scanning. So I tossed those people out, and that left the last 40% of yeses, where they said they indeed used resume scanning software. So if we take that proportion and adjust our original percents, it's more like 10% of companies automatically sort resumes using approaches like keyword sorting and beyond using knockout questions, while 90% don't. And a large part of my master's degree was statistics, so I know that these numbers are rough, like a map drawn by a far-sighted squirrel, but stay with me here. In my conversations with these lovely people who use these types of ATSs that scan resumes, I got some names of some of the ones that actually sort candidates. Some of those include Paycor, Access People HR, and Salesforce. This is not an exhaustive list, but yes, I am exhausted. Thank you for asking. You can tell if a company is using that specific ATS if the name of the ATS is in that URL, or you can see the logo somewhere on the page. Now, of course, that's not a foolproof way of figuring out if your resume is scanned. And when I was going over all these companies that use these resume scanners, there was really no consistency about the size of the company, such as some of them had as few as 500 employees all the way up to 30,000 employees. So you can't guess if your resume is being scanned based on the size of the company. And also, most were in the technology industry, though it was all across the board. Again, you can't just assume, oh, I'm applying to a tech company, so they're using that software. It's too difficult to narrow it down. And again, to be clear, nearly all companies use an ATS to simply organize candidate applications, but I'm talking specifically about resume scanning software. That is a different feature in these ATSs. And the bottom line is, it's truly not worth your time to focus on if your resume is getting scanned. It is much more important to focus on what recruiters are looking for when real humans read your resume. Because if you have what the recruiter is looking for, you'll likely rank just fine. And I have built the Glory formula, which makes sure your resume is exactly what the hiring team is looking for. So I'll link a free class on that called the Resume Revamp Masterclass down below. But I'm not trying to send you away to a class. Let's actually break down a bit right here, right now, of how ATSs scan resumes. Based on all of my conversations, one thing is clear. If your resume is being scanned, it is being scanned for keywords. Keywords are the name of the game, which of course is the basis of the Glory formula, so that you can make sure that you catch attention of recruiters and of any sort of keyword scanning software, so you can see that in that class. Now, it also appears that nearly all of these systems tend to stack rank. This means that they aren't tossing out your application based on a lack of keywords, but instead putting it a little lower in the virtual stack and drawing the recruiter's attention to resumes that better fit the mold. So while it doesn't outright reject candidates, it makes it so that candidates not at the top of the list come in a distinct disadvantage. Because if you get a ranked 500 resumes, you may not get to the bottom 250. So the way to get to the top of the ranking is to make sure certain skills and keywords are on your resume. I've seen people use AI and resume scanning software for job seekers to help give your resume a score based on the job description and all of that. Unfortunately, these tools count certain words as keywords that companies would never search for, such as it will suggest to you to get the word collaborative on your resume, when I guarantee you recruiters are not searching or ranking using that term. That's why learning a method like the Glory formula or others is nearly foolproof. And I don't recommend doing the strategy where you copy all of the text from the job description and then paste it into the footer of your resume in white 1-point font.
Make sure the text is white so it's invisible, and the ATS is going to pick up all the skills.
First, I will say, yeah, this actually could possibly improve your ranking from an ATS, but as soon as they click your resume, this is where it all breaks down. What happens in the ATSs I've used, and also just many of them, is the ATS will strip the formatting from your resume and simply present the raw information. That means I'm not looking at your nice, pretty, neat PDF. I'm looking at the information from your resume, and all of that job description text you paste on there is in just as big of a font as the rest of it. Additionally, you need to make your resume good for human eyes as well. And believe it or not, recruiters are also scanning for keywords with their blinkers. So putting the keywords in the bottom doesn't help the recruiter to choose your resume. The key takeaway you should have is if you're optimizing for human selection, you will be optimizing for computer ranking. Though of course, this is not a perfect science. Now I have a question for you. After hearing this information, do you wish more companies used resume sorting software? Stay with me for a second. If you are a qualified candidate who reads the job description and tailored your resume, I'd imagine you'd prefer that there is a resume ranker. It may be the only way you have a chance for your resume to be seen in the hundreds of applications, besides skipping applying online together and using other job shopping strategies. Hiring teams are so bombarded with resumes, and the flooding of applicant tracking systems is only getting worse with more job seekers using AI and tools that automatically apply to hundreds of jobs for them. So it may seem like a relief for job seekers to hear that their resume might actually have a chance due to resume sorting. What are your thoughts? Are you pro or anti-resume sorting? Let me know in the comments by saying I'm pro resume sorting or I'm anti-resume sorting. Thanks so much for joining me. Do be sure to like this video, and heck, you can go ahead and subscribe to the channel too. 2 clicks, shouldn't give you carpal tunnel. You've got this. Wi-Fi high five.